Hello, I am Lisa Sortanovich, and with me I have Dan Bobick. And Kathy Stefan isn't here with us today, but we're part of the Portal Plus team that helps with utilize technology in order to help you run your coaching business better. One of the things that we utilize is a tool called Sweet Dash, and we're going to do a little demonstration of that today so that you can get kind of an idea of what some of the things are that you can use in that tool. Before we get there, though, we've got a couple people on the call with us today. Tom, what kind of technology do you currently use in your coaching practice?
Let's see. Right now, I just for my scheduling, I use Calendly, and then for most of my form transactions, I'm using JotForm.
JotForm, yes, that's a good one. A good one. If you could fix one thing in the way that you're doing things right now so that it was a little bit more streamlined, what would that one thing be?
I think probably just being able to get the process for onboarding my clients just in one smooth step. Because right now it's very disjointed. I'm using emails, and then I've got the JotForms going, linked to that and that type of thing. And all my payment stuff is right now is going through PayPal. So it just I'm just seem like I'm going in 100 different directions.
Right, a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit otherwhere, and sometimes that's a little more distracting to keep up with. And as you mentioned, they're a little disjointed. So that on this client, when I onboarded them, did I make sure that I sent them this part, and then especially if I do anything out of order, oh my gosh, right? Then I have to, even though I have like a checklist of the way that it's supposed to happen, invariably some client would jump ahead of the curve, and then that kind of threw a wrench in everything. Crystal, I know that you're out there. Are you able to at least type like the one thing that you would be interested in streamlining in your workflow?
Hey, I can talk. I just don't have my I don't have my webcam with me at the moment. So so yeah, I want a location for all my notes for all my clients, because I've got things. I mean, I've got a Word document going like we've learned in Coach Connections, and I mean, I'm tired of copying and pasting and trying to keep up with everything. I know I'm missing things, and I want just to be able to make that process smooth for onboarding. I mean, I got so many things I want to do with it, but but yeah, that's all for
I
now.
completely understand. For me, there were three things that I knew straight out that I wanted in a more automated fashion than not. Having the CPA background, I wanted a secure client portal where if I needed to transfer some sensitive information, they felt confident that it wasn't going to get just leaked everywhere, like utilizing email allows that to potentially happen. So I wanted that secure client portal. I also wanted the e-signature so that when we transferred the agreement back and forth, it was just easy to click the sign here button as opposed to downloading it, running it through a scanner, signing it manually, or trying to do it via a PDF thing. And some people don't understand how to get that on their phone. And it was just, I wanted that e-signature piece. And then the follow-up drip emails, especially from like a freemium or something like that, I wanted that to automatically go push out so that I didn't have to think about those tire kicker prospects. And I could focus a little bit more thoroughly on those warm leads. And if I wanted to do a more personalized email connection with them, then I had the capacity to do that because those tire kickers with the freemium, they were just on autopilot. So that's what I wanted when I first started. And building this out to follow the Coach Connections methodology allowed Tom's dream to come true, right? That onboarding process where it took all of the things that we get through Coach Connections, the step-by-step through that, and allowed that to be a lot more automated, meant that I didn't have to use my little brain cells to do that. And instead I could use it to do more marketing. I could use it to do more coaching, or I could use it to gain some time back in my personal life and spend that with my family. So that's what this has done for me. Today, we're going to show you, give you a little bit of a glimpse of what that can do when it's all built out. And then we can answer a couple of more questions. Dan, are you ready with that demo?
We are. Yep. There is no audio to the demo, but
Okay.
I'll
In that
share.
case, we're gonna go ahead and share and try and interject some comments along the way. But in your mind's eye, imagine that this black and white video is going, and it's got some awesome music in the background, right? With some great comments. Dan.
Yeah, and the video does have a lot of those screen tips kind of things that describes exactly what is going on as well.
Awesome.
Can you all see?
Yep.
You've got visual.
Okay. It's 4 minutes, 51 seconds.
So this is what one of the sign-up forms would look like, that your client would use just to get a discovery call with you. And then they get an email that allows them to then start their assessment. So it automatically takes them from that, hey, I want to sign up with you, and allows them to start that assessment already without you having to do anything. And then gives them this visual perspective with graphs and stuff so that they could see where they're at. When they want to move forward, then it gives you that automatic agreement, and then it creates an invoice for them to be able to pay.
Right. And just as a note on the agreement, I don't know if you saw, it moves rapidly, but at the bottom, there's an audit trail. So you can actually, somebody said, I didn't sign it. Well, actually, here you go. Here's all of the details that you need in order to track that. Anything else you wanted to say about that first part, Lisa?
Again, it's very automated, such that now let's say that you decide that you didn't want to, you want to give this particular person a little bit of a discount. That's okay. You can stop the automation partway through, edit the invoice so that you can add a discount, or maybe you want to break the payment up into other 3 stages or something. You can do that also, right? So even though we have it automated, you have the ability to override that. So it still has that that human touch to it, even though it has all this automation.
Okay, so I'll continue and starting at invoicing.
So this is where you can use the tool that they already started with to see how things have changed. And then here's your notes. We can see that this particular person had a dog, and so one of the things that if we don't see dog food on their spending plan, we might go, oh, that's something that you might want to think about. And this is where the note-taking comes into play. It
Mhm.
can automatically send them an email that says, hey, your notes are in your portal. And that gives them the action items and that sort of thing. And it keeps it all in one place for you. So you don't have to transcribe things or start again, so that both of you guys are looking at the same piece of information always. And it's all in one spot. So you don't have to, search through your emails to find out the last one that you sent to that person.
So keep track of the record of the email sent from Sweet Dash to your clients.
Exactly. So this is, again, converting them to a client if perhaps, and here's the edit part where, it doesn't fall into your exact default. We can still edit that as we go.
And this is where she's editing the invoice.
So this is the version of what the client, well, that was the version of what the client saw, where they could pay now. And again, it has the automated payment feature to it. The PayPal is an option. We prefer that you start out with Stripe, because Stripe offers the ability for subscriptions as well as ACH, which has lower fees than typical PayPal or credit card. So in order to keep your expenses top of mind, we suggest starting out with Stripe. It's not absolutely a requirement as you get more involved with it, but it's a good place to begin.
Mhm.
So again, this is kind of what your client would see. Or no, this is your coach notes.
Mhm.
And you have both notes that the client can see and also notes that only you can see, which is really nice. If you want to put in there that they really are concerned about, they say they have a push level of 9, but you're suspecting it's more like a 2, right? You might want to put that note for yourself. Here they have anxiety around the house. Well, that would be a note for just you that they wouldn't actually see. And the notes are going to show up, these new notes are going to show up on their dashboard, as well as they're going to get that email. And again, like I mentioned, I really like the ability to do these email drips, so that as soon as they start the adventure, if they get stuck at a point and they don't go beyond that, then an email will remind them that they have things to do. I also use it, again, like I said, for my when I do a freemium, then I include some drip emails, even to the point where if they haven't converted to a client by 6 months after the first initial thing, I send them a little reminder, right? 6 months after the fact. So there's a lot of ways you can use the drip emails, not just for prospects, but also for like, I have a podcast now. And so I use it as a reminder email every week that they should listen to the podcast. So there's a number of different ways that you can use this.
And the next section is talking about learning management system, LMS, which Sweet Dash also has available. I backed the video up a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Here's the courses. So you can use courses in a variety of different ways for new clients, for prospects, for existing clients, taking them through content. You can build it and style it as you want to.
And you can create unlimited number of courses with landing pages and different people can have access to different courses. So for example, one of the things I use courses for is my podcast guests, the guest speaker. I walk them through my process and have them select a time that they want to be on the podcast, what they want to talk about, and so on, have them update their bio and that sort of thing, utilizing the LMS. Then on a flip side, I use it as part, like in Coach Connections, where we have our during orientation, where we had to watch the videos and do the homework first, and then we showed up for the live version. I also use it in that sense. So there's a lot of things that you can do with this LMS learning management system.
But I guess the one thing I would say is it does all of these things, and we can help with a lot of them, but don't get overwhelmed with everything that it can do. We just take the bits and pieces that we need and we focus on that first. So, it's not like we try to read all the chapters of a book all at once. We take chapter 1 and then we go to chapter 2. We don't then skip ahead, hopefully, to, chapter 17. We take one step at a time for it, and we're there to assist. So you use it for what you need it for sure. But it does a lot. It does a lot of good stuff.
So the process to be able to move forward with the Coach Connections Portal Plus, and some of the questions might be, well, what is Portal Plus? And that involves actually a little bit of coaching around what it is that you need the most in your business. At the beginning of this conversation, I was asking some of the participants what's the one thing that if they could get off of their plate and be more streamlined, what would that be? Well, we walked through that with you, starting with a conversation with Dan. And you can do that through going to stephan.ca/portals and selecting a date that works for you to talk to Dan through what your business needs now. Dan, you want to explain that process a little bit?
Yeah, so what we do in that conversation is about an hour long, and we just evaluate the first step in any kind of process of change or improvement or anything like that. Always starts with a conversation. So, and discovery, right? So we're seeking to understand what's working for you, what systems you're using, what systems maybe you bought but you're not using at all, because that happens quite a bit as well. But what's working for you and what's not. So the emphasis for us is not on the system itself, but how a system, and that's one reason why we use SweetDash, because it has so many different applications, we can help customize it, right, as need be. We have the Coach Connections methodology, and that's solid and that's there, but may not need it all at once, right? So we want to make sure that technology fits you and not the other way around. So that's where we're starting to evaluate that. It's about the process, right? So we're starting to evaluate that early on in the first meeting, and then we can give you recommendations and our thoughts and suggestions and that kind of thing of how to proceed from there. But it's a very low pressure, you don't have to be a technology person whatsoever to start the process.
It is rather simple.
Mhm.
So now that we've gone through a lot of the things that SweetDash can do, does anyone have questions about it? Okay, no questions from the peanut gallery yet.
I have a quick question.
Go ahead, Crystal.
So what happens if we leave Coach Connections?
So you definitely would have a conversation with Dave, but there is a methodology in place now that if you leave Coach Connections and your membership is no longer kept up, then in order to keep utilizing either the methodology and or the key, there is a way to extract that, and you can take that with you.
Okay, I don't plan on leaving. I'm just curious.
No, it's a legitimate question, because it is proprietary information. We want you to be successful, and an easy way to do that, once you get this in place, is to continue using the method, right? Or even pieces of the method, because it is proven to be successful, not just manually, but also now utilizing technology such as SweetDash. The method is really, really strong. One of the difficulties with something like SweetDash that is so powerful is that it is kind of a blank slate. And utilizing the Portal Plus version of it, where Coach Connections methodology is overlaid on top of this blank slate, is that, first of all, you already know what to expect and how the steps should go. First of all, you have them fill out the form. That's kind of like the same thing if you gave them a freemium, you would get their email address and their name. Very simple for that. And then you would have the discovery call. But before the discovery call, you need to get them to fill out the assessment. Well, so that's automatically done as soon as they sign up, right? And so there's a lot of automation, but it follows the exact flow from Coach Connections. And it's set up in a way that supports Coach Connections methodology already, as well as allows you the freedom that if you have a little bit of a different thing, then once you understand that flow and how it works with this technology, then you can customize it to whatever it is you need to happen. So we highly recommend starting out with what you're already familiar with. And that would be the Coach Connections methodology. Let's get you familiar with how to use that. So one of the things that when you sign up for all of that through Coach Connections, that we have a monthly office hours that is dedicated to SweetDash questions. And sometimes it's more of a mastermind. Hey, how can I use this tool to go to the next level? Sometimes it's, hey, I'm having problems with this. This is a new thing in SweetDash that they just released. How do I implement that into my practice? Sometimes it's my client is having a hard time getting the payment button to work, what's going on? So it's a little bit more of a technology question, but the team is there supporting along the way. So it's not just here's a product and you don't do anything with it. It's here's a product, here's how to use it in a way that you're familiar with already. And then we're there not only as a support mechanism, but actually to help coach you along through your business. So we start out with the what works for you in your business right now question that Dan will help coach you through. And then on the back end of that, I help get you in the mindset of what bigger things can we do with this, right? Now that I'm comfortable with the way that it's working in my business, how can I take it to the next level? And what am I comfortable with?
Exactly. Right.
So how long does it take initially to get wound up and running with the system?
The last couple of builds that we had took about 3 weeks from start to finish. Now that will depend on how much of your assets that you have already created. For example, if you don't have a logo and you want to implement that, then you have to decide how to get a logo, and if that takes you longer, right?
Mhm.
If you don't have custom colors that you already want and you don't really like any of the defaults, well, that's going to take a minute or two, right? So there are some assets. Let's think about oh gosh, there's not too many of them that we haven't already streamlined. And if you already have a website through Coach Connections, then 90% of your assets are already going to be there.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
So highly, highly recommend that if you haven't already done so, you get that website through Coach Connections first. Get that rolling so that you can then dive right in. Again, we've got 8 slots open for September. And if you don't get in the September cycle, it will probably be next year before there's another wave.
Mhm.
But if we already have a website that's not through Coach Connections, everything will still work, right? It's just,
Absolutely.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so Crystal, what Lisa was talking about is a lot of the things that you would have submitted for your website for Coach Connections are also the same things that we need to build your portal.
Right.
Gotcha.
Yep.
And
So
Okay.
having your own website, there's most of the time you're going to have those things already on that website also.
Yes.
They're just not as if you had done it through Coach Connections, we would have already had access to it.
Got it. Okay. And adding, like, I'm adding daily money management to my business. So if we need to, I mean, is it fairly easy once we get in there and get all the Coach Connection stuff in to duplicate, a process? Or is that something that most people are going to need more help with?
If you are very technologically oriented, the duplication, the effort is fairly straightforward because you can copy flows, you can copy forms, you can copy that sort of thing. And because we have the office hours, we're there to kind of like help you. If you want more than that, you can ping one of the Portal Plus team members and we can help you walk through that process a little bit more effectively. Kathy is super great at coaching you through building your own thing. And once you build something once by yourself, even if you're just duplicating it, then it's like, oh, wow. And your eyes are open to all the other things that you can do. So.
Okay.
So very
Well,
good. Lisa,
any additional questions? Awesome. Well, you should sign up now. The link is in the chat, as well as it'll be on this recording. We'll include it below. You should sign up as soon as possible so that you can get your slot for this September.
Thank you, Lisa, and thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Dan.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
bye.
Bye.